Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're diving into a really fast-moving space where yesterday's edge becomes today's critical infrastructure.
Yeah, absolutely. We're talking about UAVs, drones, and specifically one company, IdeaForge Technology Limited.
That's right. You gave us the source materials, their latest investor comms, Q2 H1 FY26 financials from October 2025.
And they paint a pretty vivid picture, don't they? How IdeaForge is really riding this wave, this post-pandemic defense spending surge.
Right, and also making moves globally. So our mission today really is to unpack all that.
Figure out the strategy. How are they using their tech background, that resilience we hear about, especially in defense?
And what does it all mean for the civil market side of things, both here in India and, internationally?
Well, to get where they are now, you really have to look back at their origins, their DNA, so to speak.
They're not exactly newcomers, are they? Started way back.
Way back, 2004, that's over 21 years ago. And back then, getting parts, commercial open source drone components.
Forget about it.
Pretty much. They had no choice but to build almost everything themselves. Subsystems, components, the works, from the ground up.
Wow. So that whole history of doing it themselves, that indigenous development, that's like their core thing now.
It absolutely is. That vertical integration is key. They were pioneers out of necessity.
Building high-altitude drones first in India, developing VTOL, those vertical takeoff and landing ones.
And the fixed-wing hybrid VTOLs, too. All
Oh, yeah.
indigenous. But the real purpose, the focus on reliability, that really sharpened after events like 2611.
Ah, right. Focusing on making something super dependable for soldiers in really tough conditions.
Exactly. That's the crucible where their reputation was forged. And just to give you a sense of scale now,
Yeah, what are we talking about operationally?
based on the FY26 reports, their customers have flown over 750,000 flights. That's a lot of airtime.
750,000.
And get this, an idea. Forge drone takes off somewhere, doing something, every 3 minutes.
Every 3 minutes. That's constant. That's incredible uptime.
Continuous operations. It really speaks volumes.
Okay, so let's pivot to the financials backing this up. The sources you sent clearly state H1 FY26 was a big turnaround.
Yeah, a real demand surge after, well, the company called FY25 muted for the whole Indian drone scene.
So connect the dots for us financially, because the growth numbers look pretty dramatic.
Dramatic is a good word. Q2 FY26 consolidated revenue hit INR 407.6 million.
Okay, 407 million.
But here's the kicker. That's a 218.9% jump just from Q1, quarter over quarter.
Whoa, nearly 220% QOQ. That's not just growth. That's like hitting an oil gusher.
Something like that. And it wasn't just volume. The margins improved significantly, too.
Right, I saw that. The gross profit margin for the first half.
Jumped to 52.8%. Big leap from 30.7% in H1 of the previous year.
So what's driving that? Just selling more, selling smarter?
Both, really. Management says it's down to executing contracts with better margins, meaning their higher-end, differentiated stuff is in demand.
And commanding a premium price.
Exactly. Plus, just more demand overall for those advanced systems. And they seem confident this margin level will hold.
They expect it to continue for the rest of the year.
That's the guidance.
Ah.
And that confidence likely comes from their order book. As of late October 2025, it stood around INR 2,380 million.
238 crores. Okay, and that order book, it leads right into the defense dominance, doesn't
It
it?
really does. Q2 revenue split, 63% defense, 37% civil. The current demand is heavily weighted towards defense.
And it's not just any defense orders, right? It's this specific type.
Emergency procurements, EP. A large chunk of that order book comes from command-level EPs.
Meaning immediate needs, stuff required like right now.
Precisely. Driven by current operational situations, it's not the old, slow procurement cycle.
So they have to deliver fast.
Very fast. The sources say most EP orders are expected to be executed within 12 months, and a good portion even sooner, within the current year or quarter.
Speed matters. Okay, so let's unpack the why now. What strategic shifts in the Indian defense market open this door?
Well, there's the general push for resilient UAVs, plus the renewed Emergency Procurement Cycle 6 funding.
But you mentioned something structural.
Yes, and this is crucial. The Army has delegated more procurement power directly to the commands.
Ah, decentralizing the decision-making.
Exactly. It cuts down timelines massively, gets tech into the field much quicker, accelerates induction.
And this is where IdeaForge had sort of a head start with the electronic warfare resilience.
This is the real aha moment in the material.
Huh?
EW resilience. They saw this coming.
How so?
They started developing an in-house suite of EW capabilities before it was a major requirement. They looked at global trends, conflicts. The sources mention Upson Indoor as an example.
So they built the tech preemptively.
They did? And now, this ability to operate despite jamming, despite interference, it's become a baseline requirement in recent defense tenders.
So because they already had it?
But they have a significant competitive edge. Their platforms already meet this critical need. They were ready.
That's smart positioning. And it plays right into the bigger policy picture too, doesn't it? DPM 2025.
The Defense Procurement Manual 2025. Absolutely. It's a long-term structural shift.
Aimed at self-reliance, Raksha at Menarparta.
That's the goal. Yeah. The key rule highlighted is that global tenders under 200 crores are basically off by default now.
Off by default, meaning?
It strongly pushes procurement towards domestic companies. Build here, buy here. It locks in a huge chunk of the market for indigenous players like IdeaForge.
Got it. So their main focus technically remains ISR intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance, targeting.
That's their core competence. The sources do note that while the wider market is also buying attack systems,
Things with end effectors.
right, that's not currently an active area for IdeaForge. Their platforms like Zoll and Q6 can carry different payloads, but they're focused on the ISR mission set.
Sticking to their knitting where they have that edge. Makes sense. Now let's shift focus outwards. They're not just looking domestically.
Not at all. They're making serious moves internationally. The NATO stock number, NSN, is a big one.
For both SWIT-CH and Q6 platforms, what does that actually mean, getting an NSN?
It's huge validation. It signifies compliance with stringent global military standards.
So NATO members and allies can now potentially buy these drones.
Exactly. It puts them on the approved list, makes them eligible for procurement programs within that whole ecosystem. A massive credibility boost.
And then there's the U.S. move, a joint venture first forged with the U.S. company First Breach, Inc.
Yes, and that's purely strategic. You almost have to do that to play seriously in the U.S. defense market.
Why is that? The Buy American preference.
Immense preference, often a legal requirement for federal and defense contracts. The JV allows for local manufacturing.
Like a bottling plant strategy, you called it?
Kind of, yeah. It helps navigate tariffs, any geopolitical issues, and crucially makes their products eligible for U.S. programs. Right now, it's focused on their existing drones.
Okay, looking further ahead now, R&D. Where's the focus for the next year or two?
It's heavily leaning towards autonomy, taking drones to the next level.
How so? What are the main tracks?
Well, first, just continuing to improve their current platforms, Q4i, Natra, Switch, Zoll, Yeti, iteration.
Standard product improvement.
Right. Second, and this is a big one, AI for autonomous operations.
Meaning drones flying themselves without constant control.
Yes, and crucially, flying radio silent. Think about pervasive electronic warfare, counter-drone tech everywhere. Drones need to operate without GPS, without constant comms links.
Ah, so the AI handles navigation, mission, execution, everything, even if it's completely cut off.
That's the goal. It's becoming absolutely vital. The third vector is AI for analytics.
Making sense of the data the drone collects.
Exactly. Better object identification, building more complete solutions, and interestingly, creating a more natural language interface.
To make it easier for operators to use.
Yeah, lowers the barrier to adoption.
Right.
They're also working on multi-domain and multi-UAV autonomy.
Hints of drone swarms, maybe.
Potentially, down the line. That seems to be the direction.
And this advanced AI needs new hardware. We heard about Zoll-T.
Zoll-P, yes. That's
Yeah.
their next-gen tactical UAV. Been in development about a year and a half.
Is it close to deployment?
It's already in customer demos, trials. And the sources say real RFPs, requests for proposals, are already happening for it. So it's very much near term.
And it's likely the platform where this new AI autonomy will really shine first.
Seems logical. Then there's the longer-term project, Yeti.
The logistics UAV, described as much larger.
Yeah, roughly 10 times the size of Zoll, apparently. It's still earlier stage, technology demonstrator, integration phase.
So bigger payloads, logistics missions, maybe even venturing into commercial delivery eventually.
It certainly points towards ambitions in heavy lift capabilities, whether defense logistics or potentially civil applications later on.
Okay, let's talk about that civil side now. It was 37% of revenue in Q2. Where are they focused there?
Primarily the GIS market, geographical information systems. Mapping, basically.
What kind of applications?
Big government projects are key. Things like creating property cards, digitizing land records under India's Swamitwa scheme.
Oh, right, the land mapping initiative.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Also creating detailed digital twins of cities or critical infrastructure using specialized oblique cameras. And of course, military mapping overlaps here too.
What gives them an edge in the civil mapping world? It seems quite competitive.
It is competitive, but management believes their edge comes from that defense ruggedness. Their drones offer top performance, especially quadcopters.
Because they can handle tough conditions.
Right. Extreme weather, hilly terrain, undulating landscapes common in India, plus superior flight times for covering large areas efficiently.
Reliability matters for big projects. And they're adding new sensor capabilities, too. The Q6 V2 Geo.
Correct. That platform now supports advanced payloads. We're talking LiDAR.
For super accurate 3D maps.
Exactly. And multispectral, hyperspectral cameras. Those are useful for seeing things the human eye can't, like subtle differences in crop health or mineral deposits.
So applications in agriculture, mining?
For sure. They even mentioned colorized LiDAR, which makes that complex point cloud data much more intuitive to understand.
But it's not just about gathering the data, right? They seem focused on the whole process.
Very much so. They emphasize the end outcome is what matters. It's not just about delivering raw data.
Which leads to their software, FLY GHT Cloud.
FLY GHT Cloud 2.0, yeah. And significantly, it's now migrated to a government-certified cloud. That's crucial for data security on sensitive projects.
And it handles the processing.
Enables automated data processing, workflows, analytics. It lets them offer an end-to-end solution, not just the drone flight.
The civil side definitely seems like a growth area they're targeting.
Management is quite bullish. They stated the civil segment has the potential to grow to about INR 100 crores within the next 2 to 3 years.
100 crores? That's a decent chunk. What potential headwinds did the sources mention for that civil growth?
They didn't spell out specific risks in the material we reviewed, but you can infer the challenge.
Just the sheer number of players, maybe,
Yeah.
especially in commercial mapping.
Probably. Lots of smaller outfits entering that space. IdeaForge seems to be betting their superior tech flying further, longer, tougher conditions justifies a higher price, especially for large government or critical infrastructure jobs.
Where that reliability is non-negotiable.
Exactly. They're targeting the high-end, complex work, leveraging that defense-grade quality, not trying to compete on basic mapping price alone.
Makes sense. Okay, let's zoom out for the final synthesis. What's the big picture here?
The core theme seems to be IdeaForge leveraging that deep history, the indigenous innovation, especially that EW resilience.
To really capture this surge in defense spending,
Yeah.
which is itself fueled by policy shifts like DPM 2025.
Precisely. They're capitalizing on both renewed budgets and structural reforms favoring local players.
And it's a balanced strategy, right? Domestic defense focus, but also pushing outwards.
Definitely. Maintaining that dominance at home while building global credibility and access through things like the NATO NSN and that USJB, the bottling plant approach for localization.
You can see why the CEO sounds ambitious. The quote, comparing uncrewed aviation now to where civil aviation or EVs were decades ago.
Yeah, on the verge of exponential growth. It
Yeah.
feels like that kind of moment.
So if we wrap this all together, considering this massive push towards AI, that radio silent autonomy you talked about.
And the simultaneous need to manufacture globally, locally, to meet defense requirements everywhere.
It raises a fascinating question, doesn't it? Something for you, the listener, to think about.
How quickly does this cutting-edge indigenous defense tech IP, intellectual property, shift from being a closely guarded national asset?
To becoming more like a globally traded, locally produced commodity. You build the secret sauce, but then you have to bottle it everywhere.
Exactly. And what new risks, geopolitical, logistical, competitive, does that create for the very companies like IdeaForge who are pioneering it all? Something worth mulling over.
A great point to end on. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.